Welcome back to another podcast. In this video, we have with us a great persona and who has been kind enough to join us today. He's a person that has hungered for win and he has been developing the Indian football scene for a long time now. I present to you the owner of Minerva Academy, Mr. Ranjit Bajaj. Welcome, sir.
Great to be here, my brothers. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, man. I'm fine, as good as can be under the present situations which the entire world is facing, not only us. So hopefully things get better from here and we don't get into things like the third wave.
Okay. So we'll directly go to the questions.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. So you have had a lot of careers. You have
Just
been a student.
Yeah, sure. Go on. Go on.
You have had a lot of careers. You have been a student politician. You have been a state level goalkeeper. You have been a bouncer at a nightclub. You have been a sports bar owner.
I've been a national level goalkeeper. I played for India under 21, under 19 in the Asian School Games. So that's
Okay. A 9 to 5 sales manager, an MTV Roadies contestant, and a vice president in the bank, a mountaineer, and deep sea diver. When did it occur to you that you have a vested interest in football, and how has the journey been till now?
See, the interest in football was from my early childhood, and in fact, I had played under 19 for India. Before that, obviously, senior nationals, junior nationals for Chandigarh, and then getting into Malaysia and playing in the Asian School Games, representing India there. So that was one of the best experiences of my life, playing with that blazer. Immediately after that, I went and joined the corporate career. So when I came back and I stopped my corporate life, 32, 33, we started playing five-a-side football again. At 34, I don't know what came over me, but I gave a trial for the Santosh Trophy team at 34. I got in again. And at 34, I played Santosh Trophy again, the second one after when I was 18, 19, then again. So what I saw was that when I left the game at 18 and when I joined the game back at 34, things had in fact become worse, especially for North India. At that time when I left the game, it was 95, 96, JCT were on the top. They had the best club in India. They had Carlton Chapman, Bhaishu Bhutia, Subrata Pal, Renedy Singh. I mean, you name the player, he was playing there and they had become champions of all the tournaments. So it was looking bright. When I came back, in fact, instead of things going to a different level, they were looking so bleak that not only Punjab, Haryana, Jammu Kashmir, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, I mean, Chhattisgarh, the huge bloody 70% population of our country. And there was no football. No football means there was no league, nothing happening. So it was really devastating to see. But the point was that it's not that footballers weren't there. Footballers were still there. So when we used to have nationals, we used to have Santosh Trophy, we used to have at least 100 teams participating in every local tournament also, man. I mean, and that's why tournaments were being organized because people were making money off them because there were enough people playing football. Simple as that. So I saw the boys who were with me in the five-a-side were very, very good. Then the same boys qualified with me in the Santosh Trophy. We did really well. And for the first time, we did the knockout phase. Normally, Chandigarh doesn't do knockout because it's a very small city. And those boys included Akash Sangwan, who's now been playing for Brown Glasson and Churchill as well. Included 5 other players who've now gone and played for I-League or ISL clubs. And that was the thing to see that all they needed was a platform. So what I did was I put those 6 same ones in the team. We had a Chandigarh Nationals. We won that, the state championship. The same year we went into the second division. We were runners up. We were that good with the same team. Because Dempo withdrew, we got into the I-League. The next year, 1 year in the I-League, we're just trying to come to know what the I-League is. Next year, we won the I-League. While winning the I-League, we also won the 13, 15, 18, everything there's to win. So basically proving to the world that you don't need money, man, to do well in football. You need passion and hard work. And anyone who has that can do very well. Simple as that. So that's the example I want to set for the world. And that's why I was so easily able to give up Minerva Academy and turn it into Punjab FC and give it up to Round Glass. Because the whole point is that proving to the world that I can do it again. So maybe if I prove to the world that it can be done again and again, which I've just done now, I've proven to the world that you can do it again. And you can do it like this. If that happens, and people, instead of investing money instead of trying to buy clubs for 200 crores in the ISL, or maybe 20 crores in the I-League or 40 crores in the I-League, they start investing in their own academies and try to get up from there with their own boys. And they can get that they can do for 1/10 that price. But people never look at the long run. They just want to buy success and do that. Until that happens, stops happening in India, we are never going to get it.
Just like you said, sir, you said that the opportunity was always there, but nobody was there to nurture it.
Platform was not there. So it wasn't that the players are not there. We have enough football players. They don't have a platform to perform. So when they say now that they don't have a pool to select from, is already bullshit, because number one, you're selecting only from the ISL. So that's already bullshit. And how many? And then why can't you get good strikers and centre backs? Why are we losing? Because we don't have good strikers and centre backs. And why? Because the entire centre backs and strikers are taken up by foreigners. So probably 1 or 2 guys play as centre backs and strikers in India, and they are taken immediately. Even though one of them is my boy Manveer Singh, but he's the only one who gets game time, so he's taken immediately. So Sandesh Jhingan gets game time, he's taken immediately. There is nobody else who gets game time, so they have to invent people. But now that's why I've been fighting for 3+1. The moment you have 3+1, they'll have to play in strikers. The moment they play strikers, and you will develop strikers. Strikers can only develop when you give them game time. For example, look at Komal. Perfect example of Komal being a top-class player, but not getting game time is nowhere to be seen. Whereas at the same time, Jackson Singh was given game time, and now he's in the Indian senior team. The same way Dheeraj Singh was given time there in the senior team. Anwar Ali wasn't given time. He's playing here with me. The other boy was not given time. See, it's all about game time, especially at that age. You can't that's the age they grow. If you keep them on the bench, that's where they'll stay. Simple, and get worse, in fact.
So, sir, as the journey seems so interesting, so what led you to thought of owning Punjab FC?
I see, the whole point was I'm a very accidental owner. I'm just more a fan. That is why jitni dard tumhe hoti hai when India loses 6-0, utni dard mujhe hoti hai. So in this accidental journey, I knew that when I came to know, see, the first year I lost 2 or 3 in I-League. I'd lost 2-3 crores because I'd taken loans. Because I tried to do what everyone else was doing, get players from other places. Whereas even though I had an academy of my own, the next year when we won the I-League, 90% of the boys were from my academy. And we were able to do it. Now, once that happened, that becomes a pipeline. So I can now, if I'm not going to get Roy Krishna, or in Indian I-League terms, Sunny Node, and I'm not going to break the bank. And if you see the number of players who are playing in every ISL team, there are at least minimum 4 or 5 Minervans, minimum. So that means these are the number of boys I'm producing every day who are good enough to play in the ISL. Why do I need to buy? Now, when I don't need to buy, what do I do special here? Do I do something special? No, man, it's hard work. You have to have a proper setting with proper planning where you have a ground dedicated, you have a residential facility, which is not for 2 months, it's year round. Football happens year round. Yes, competitions happen for 2 months, but football happens for year round, and happens how many times? Morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening. What do you do then rest? Either they're watching football or they're sleeping and dreaming about football. There's nothing else. That's how you become footballers. And what age do you start at? 5, if you want to get to the world level. 10, if you want to get to the Asian level. 14, if you want to stay where India is right now. And that's where we start football in India. We start teaching them the basics when they start under 13 I-League, जब वो 12 साल के हो जाते हैं, which is already way too late. By 15, you are playing in you know that if you're going to make it or not, and you're playing in the Premier League.
तो सर, आपके क्लब में जो यूथ थे वो जो प्लेयर्स थे वो कैसे प्रमोट होते हैं एकेडमी?
See, the whole point is, yes, we won titles and that is why people noticed us. But they also noticed the game style. So why do our centre backs get picked? So I can just tell you, in the last all my years, I've never had more selections other than centre backs, starting from obviously our founder member Sandesh Jhingan, but going up to Harmipom and Bikash, and then the ones which played earlier with me, Sukhdev, and then you've got Deepak Tangri, you've got Narinder Ghelot. All these guys have come back from my youth system. And it is because they're ball playing centre backs. Every time They are taught. If they hit the ball long without looking at it, they are called out. So from the very beginning, it's not that they're great ball players. They've just been taught that way. So we need 100 Minervas or 100 other academies. Because if you have the other academy there, other academies like us, then the pool system increases. The only other residential academy which is going to be running throughout the year, which now this year also ran only 2 months, was Bengaluru. But they ran it 2 months. Why? Because AFF has not announced the dates. But that doesn't mean that the boys who are there at home stop growing and stop learning, and because they have this golden period of time. So India is already going to lose a golden generation because other places football has not stopped. Football has totally come to a halt here. नहीं ISL हो रहा है. ISL तो बूढ़े हैं ना सारे. बूढ़े का मतलब 10 साल में वो 10 साल के बाद जो उनमें यंगस्टर भी है वो भी बूढ़ा हो जाए. फिर 10 साल के बाद तुम्हारा 3 साल का जो गैप आएगा ना, उसमें क्या करोगे?
Yes, sir. Sir, you mentioned Jackson Singh earlier, who is from your academy. We all know what a great talent he is. I want to know what was your feeling when he became the first Indian in 2017 to be the first Indian to score a FIFA World Cup goal. So what was your feeling then?
Oh, my feeling was that, see, that proved that it's possible to me. That was my second year in football. And I saw that Jackson Singh did that. That means it's possible. That means, Ranjit, yes, you can get boys, you can work on them, and your hard work can pay off. Now, this boy was only with me for 2.5 years, Jackson Singh, because we started in 2015 and this was 2017. So imagine, Ranjit, if you have boys from the age of 5, imagine what you can turn them into with the kind of facilities we have here. So that was the aim. That made it possible. That made us believe. Not only me, it made 1.4 billions in Indian believe that we can do it. It's a matter of time. Why it was 10 minutes to go in that match, we could have already won that match as well, if we had experience and if the boys believed in themselves. So that 1-0 in the 79th minute should win you the match. But, you know, experience is what counts and playing at that level. And that showed not only them, the way, why does Nong play the way he does? Because when he played against the US, he dribbled against 4 guys from the US who are probably playing either for the top European clubs or PSG, the same way against Colombia. So if that generation started believing in themselves, that we can perform against the world's best. That's why they got that. Even Anwar Ali, why does he play that level of football? Because he performed against the world's best. Dheeraj, the confidence level he got from playing in that World Cup is going to remain with him for the rest of his life because he was probably one of the best keepers on show in the World Cup. So वो हमारे लड़कों बच्चों में confidence level कभी आता ही नहीं है क्योंकि वो पूरी जिंदगी यही इंडिया में खेले. हाँ, ये जो exposure की बात करते हैं ना, exposure was not required for 20s and 30s. I mean, the ones who are in the Indian team, exposure tours are required from the ages of 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 के बाद not required. Then you can have practice tours. That's a different thing altogether. Exposure is what you give when they're still developing. Exposure is not when you give when they're already developed.
17 साल में मतलब एक maturity आ ही जाता है कि what is what. But you know the parts and parcel of the game.
Exactly. So you can see what, at least you can judge the maximum level he can go. Okay. You can never judge the minimum. Maybe he just fucks up tomorrow and stays, but you know what is the maximum level he can go. So you can come to know at 17, if he's not looking like Messi, he's probably never going to become Messi. Simple as that. Because you came to know about Messi from 12, man, looking at him, ke sala ye to niklega.
Okay. So my question to you is, running a club is like running an well-oiled machine. Everything needs to be perfect. Every part needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, it breaks down after a while. Running an academy is not an easy job either. But is it easier to take tougher decisions while you are in an academy?
No, actually, why it's tougher? Because in clubs, when I let go of a senior player, he's an adult, he'll get a job anywhere else and he'll start earning again. If I let go of a kid, it's very difficult for him to find another academy. So it's the decisions are that I am, I am not the parent of now this, I'm parent of each and every boy who's there. Because their parents have trusted me and sent their kid at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to me. That means I take their most personal decisions for them. So the responsibility is much greater. Why? Because I am responsible for their khana. अगर उसने सवेरे का खाना खाया, दोपहर का खाया, रात का खाया, कितने का? 300 बंदों. So and वहां पे साला वो सीनियर प्लेयर नहीं खाना खाएगा, भूखा रहेगा, अपने आप अगली बार खा लेगा. कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. You don't understand? He's not going to die of hunger. But the kid is going to be hungry and he will not know what. So we have to do that for them. So I think it's much, much more difficult to be with kids than this. And that is why people don't have, honestly speaking, why don't people have residential academies? Because of these problems. For example, I'm just giving an example. Worst to worst, if something happens to a senior player, it's the senior player's fault. I'm not going to be held responsible for it. If something happens to a junior kid here, I am directly responsible. Simple as that. The buck stops only with the director, only with me. So that risk is multiplied into how many people you have, 300 people for 24 hours a day into 365 at the worst time of your life when you're the most naughtiest between the ages of 5 and 15, when no one can control you. So that is why people don't taking these pangas at all. But I have been from the very beginning, my life is pango, so bring it on.
Okay. So, sir, after a football season ends, we as football fans just love to watch the transfer market, what is actually happening internationally. We have all seen the European transfer market till now, and it attracts our attention like in the both transfer windows, summer and winter. Like the recent move of Messi to PSG has created tremors around the globe. And truth be told, PSG has done a fantastic job acquiring Messi, Ramos, Donnarumma, Wijnaldum for free. And though there is a lot of controversy regarding the financial fair play, but that's
it is, yeah. But on paper, on paper,
that's a separate issue altogether. So in India, a lot of transfer business happened, like recent move of Sandesh Jhingan to a Croatian club. But we want to know how is the transfer market is operated in India. Is it like the European one, or is it somehow less? Well, I don't know what.
Being honest, I think, see, bro, I think European transfer market is much better than India. Why? At least there is something known as financial fair play. In India, there is nothing known as financial fair play. So, if, for example, today it's possible if I'm actually as rich as Ambani or somebody or a billionaire, and if I want to get Messi here, there's nothing which will stop me from getting Messi here. And if I get Messi here, nobody will be able to take the title away from me from the next 20 years. As even if Messi retires at 45 or 50, even still he'll win the title in India. So that is unfair. Why? Because Messi is here because I'm rich, not because my team is good. So when you do that, that really screws the favor. Then what happens is development of the big five, big six happens, like it has happened in England. And then when that happens, then they start getting these fucked up ideas of having super leagues. But if you actually look at it, they are this big because of the small clubs. They would have never got there unless they couldn't have got there and playing amongst themselves. Each of them got there because of the other 14, 15 clubs in the league, and actually the championship, and actually the third division and fourth division. So there has to be a pyramid, because yes, they're big clubs, but big clubs don't remain big if they play against other big clubs. Big clubs are big clubs because they thrash the small clubs most of the times. But when you suppose you're a big club, I mean, supposedly Ajax is a very big club in Holland. It stops playing in Holland, joins the Super League. It'll get thrashed every single day by the other bigs. You think how long will it remain big? How many fans will stay with Ajax when it's being thrashed by Real Madrid, Liverpool? No offense to Ajax. I'm just talking about even other clubs for that matter. So in the 12 big club league, there'll be some small clubs who will not be able to match up and they'll get thrashed. They'll become small clubs. So you're actually going to destroy clubs like that, not make them bigger. So what Champions League is something which is working so well. You don't destroy it. You make it better. See, and if you think that you want to change the status quo, first try to change the status quo of the thing which is existing, not by destroying everything. Because what you do, it's not about the big six. It's not that they'll have a great time. They go out, all the other leagues die. All leagues. Because if you take Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund out of that, you like Mohan Bagani's Bengal out of I-League, that's it, gone. Overnight. That's why I was saying that. Same way, you take out the big six from there, who's going to watch the Premier League? Nobody. So it does not depend only on them. Okay? As though all the billionaires in the world can say, okay, we want to have just our city and only billionaires will be allowed there. They are billionaires because of people like us, because we work hard. Yes, some of us We earn money from them, but they earn money because we work hard and we go and buy their products. The same way, these clubs have become so big after earning from home and away matches with all these clubs all over the years. So you can't destroy them.
नहीं सर, मैं एक्चुअली बोल रहा था, हाँ ये तो आपका पॉइंट समझ में आया कि द फाइनेंशियल फेयर प्ले शुड बी देयर इन एवरी लीग. मैं बोल रहा था कि सर जो ट्रांसफर मार्केट एक्चुअली ऑपरेटेड होता है, मतलब यूरोप में जो होता है कि फर्स्ट द क्लब कॉन्टेक्ट्स विद द एजेंट, प्लेयर्स एजेंट, तो एजेंट वो डील प्लेयर्स को सुनाता है, प्लेयर्स फिर उनका फैमिली एग्री करता है, फिर नेगोशिएशंस होता है, फिर अनाउंसमेंट, मतलब एक फार फे लंबा एक प्रोसेस चलता है. तो इंडिया में भी कैसा होता है कि
इट्स इन 2015 there was nothing known as fair play. According to the contract laws, you cannot contact a player unless and until there are less than 6 months left on his contract. It's illegal to do so. Whereas in India, they didn't even care if the contract was full. They used to just get the player there. 15 years ago, when there was no CRS, CMS, Mohan Bagan, East Bengal officials used to kidnap the best players. And not all, even Mohammedan Sporting, all of them used to kidnap the best players, keep them till the last center, and then make them sign. And that was the way it was done. And us time pe something was token system or something like that. A token de diya or something like that. Token deke mera player ho gaya. Something used to happen. The same way, the CRS-CMS stopped all that. Now it is happening. It happened the first and second year against me when I was in the I-League, and East Bengal tried to poach my players by directly contacting them. I can't believe that no one else did it till now, but I complained against East Bengal and I gave them proof that this is what they have done. And that's why they were banned for the transfer window. So when other clubs saw that even East Bengal can be banned for this, that means anyone can be banned for this. It was not East Bengal. If Mohan Bagan had done it, I would have done it against Mohan Bagan. See, I'll tell you why. Because you are trying to threaten my existence. Why? See, if I win the I-League or my club does well, next year I can only do well if I sell those players which I have. Next year का मेरा बजट ही उन प्लेयर की सेल से आएगा. फिर मैं अगले बच्चे खिलाऊंगा और फिर मैं उनको बेचूंगा. सो मैं सेलिंग क्लब हूं. और एक क्लब होता है बाइंग क्लब. बाइंग क्लब अगर सेलिंग क्लब से चोरी कर लेगा तो सेलिंग क्लब मर जाए. And that had to stop because it was happening for 50 years. That is why clubs were dying. Every year the champion used to be taken, all the players used to be taken to a champion. The champion used to get nothing. Now I have made sure that you can actually complain and people will take action on it. And not only that, now we've seen transfer fees go up to 2 to 1 crores, 2 crore rupees for one transfer. That means we are growing up. Otherwise, now you can't poach players. You can't just go to players and do that, because now you know that AFF will stand up and take notice and they will ban even the biggest clubs. Even if you have say, you'll have nothing as long as it's not legal. So that's a great move because it shows small clubs like us that, okay, fine, if you can't compete with the big boys, develop players. अगर तुम ये नहीं करोगे तो कोई develop कौन करेगा? मैं तो नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि every time I develop a player, someone is going to steal him from me. Then why should I develop if I'm not going to get anything? I've spent 10 years developing him, spending my own money. So that's why I need that. Why? Because I need to develop 10 more.
Sir, you said that there is no financial fair play in the transfer market of India. So do you think that City Group acquiring Mumbai City will affect the scenario? Like they try to violate the financial fair play rules everywhere, like we have seen in Manchester City or in many countries. So what will happen in India?
What they have done is they have actually made their company accordingly. They have made their company to violate it. So they have done all this to have these 7-8 clubs all over the world so that they can violate this financial fair play in every city. Nobody can do anything about it. Now it's only one. Now you see other people. Red Bull is doing it. The other 2 or 3 people are doing it. So the moment they start doing this, then you are in very deep and dark waters, because see what happens is if they do this, tomorrow ATK Mohan Bagan will also do the same thing. Mohan Bagan will say, okay, fine, if this is the way to do it, we'll buy 5 clubs all over the world and we'll do it this way. Or we'll do some other kind of nonsense. Like there's a club in England called Brentford. They have opened an academy in Nigeria. Okay. And they have people from 10 to 20 there, Michelin and Brentford in partnership with each other. So they do that. They actually go and you can't buy that. That is to work against third party ownership. So when you don't have third party ownership, then if you develop your own players, they're not third party, then you have, it's like an academy. So they went to Nigeria to do that. So they've got 100 boys and then they just discard the boys they don't want and bring them here. So there are a lot of ways to get around the financial fair play, but at least for transfers, there has to be some kind of a limit. Because if there's no limit, then you will not have clubs like ours trying to produce players. You will only have buying clubs. So buying clubs looks good for some time when there are players to buy. But after some time, when those players are not developed anymore, who will you buy? You can't keep buying 30, 35-year-olds. You need to buy new stuff. So who will develop Apuya and who will develop Liston Kola? So if
Shantanu?
Okay, sir. So, as we know about the Olympics, once under the coach Said Abdul Rahim, India was one of the best teams in Asia, if not the best, and was regularly performing well at the global stage. But after the exploits in 1964, the Asian Cup, where India finished second, and we haven't able to recapitulate those performances since. So, what's your say on that?
see, we were able to do that then because, again, see, if I play tennis, but I only have a swimming pool to practice in, then I'll really not be good in tennis. So what happened to India in 1980s in hockeys? 1980s में the game shifted from being a skill-based game in hockey to a technical, fast-paced game being played on wet turfs. And India didn't have any turfs. So we started doing really badly. In the last 10 years, there are 800 turfs which have been built all over India. 800. So see the development of India. Look at it. Just look at where it's reached. And we can compete. So now see, who do we compete with in hockey? You have to see this paradox which is in India and only peculiar in India. Only the countries which do well in football do well in hockey. South America, mein, Argentina, and then you got Japan in Asia, and then you got South Korea in Asia, then you got Spain, then you got Italy, then you got Germany, you got England, and you got Holland. And we can beat these countries in hockey, but we can't beat them in football. The players, the diet, the nutrition, the sports science, everything is the same. So what is happening wrong is suppose our kids, small kids, the ones who are selected for nationals and all, they go and train in turfs. They don't go and train in grounds in like hum school mein khelte the hockey. From the very beginning, hockey players are always trained in turf. But Indian players are trained in grounds which should not be called grounds. From the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, till you reach a professional level, और तब भी जाके कई बार ground बहुत खराब थे. So उस ground में can you practice passing? No. So suppose I am a centre back and the other centre back is there. I will, in an Indian ground, I will never pass to. Because रास्ते में सारा गलती से जाते हुए इधर ना चला जाए. मैं क्या करूंगा? क्योंकि मैंने अगला मैच खेलना है ना, मैं क्या करूंगा? मैं लंबी बॉल मारूंगा कि मेरे पे नाम ना आए साला. अब मैं लंबी बॉल मारूंगा, will my passing skills improve? No. What will I do when I become the best centre back of India? I'll still hit it wrong. But if as a kid, like from Minerva, you have good grounds to practice on when you're a kid, or any other club, academy ground where the grounds are good, they learn good skills. Then they can execute those good skills. But if you learn on surfaces or with coaches who are below par, you cannot be good. You can't make a player good when he's 17, 18, 19, after he's played for 7 years on that surface.
So how is the sports science in India?
Indians have the best sports scientists. Do you know that in the Premier League and in the Bundesliga, 25% of analysts are South Asian and sports scientists are South Asian. And the guy who just won, there's a boy from Kerala who was in right now with Chelsea when they won the Super Cup and the UEFA Cup. Then there's an analyst called Raman Ashwin who was with Brentford and Midtjylland. He's the one who's made them do transfers like Brentford has done, and they've just beaten Arsenal with 100th the budget, which they did all this with. There's a Leeds United with an analyst who's an Indian who works with Marcelo Bielsa. So we've got the best. See, that way nobody can touch us. Indians are far ahead. So that's what I'm saying. We've got the best sports analysts. We've got the best sports scientists. We've got the best sports tech companies. That is covered. But our best guys are right now not in India. Our best guys are there. Why? Because there's nothing in India called sports science. So it's not that it will not happen. We can get the best like this in 1 second. The day India becomes as good as them. And that will only happen when we start developing again from the grassroots. Again, the whole point is going down to the grassroots.
Okay. Sir, I hope you remember an incident that took place in 2018. The Indian team had just beaten Chinese Taipei 5-0 in front of like 2,500 fans in Mumbai football arena in Andheri. Sunil Chhetri literally had to plead us to come and support the Indian national team in the Intercontinental Cup. It was the most retweeted tweet in India in 2018. One of the highest active international goal scorers had to plead us to come, and we really should be ashamed of this. Why is it had to be this way?
See, honestly speaking, yes, you can be patriotic, but end of the day, when you want to go spend your money, you want to spend your money watching the best product. Indians are not third class people anymore. We know we are world beaters in everything. Even in our economy, even in everything, we consider ourselves to be the world's best in everything. We don't consider ourselves to be lesser than first world countries, jo pehle hota tha. So Indians like to be following world champions. From 113,000 Instagram followers, in one day, Neeraj Chopra had 2.8 million. That shows the power of Indians believing in world champions. Cricket became what it became because India won the World Cup in 83. If India wouldn't have won the World Cup in 83, trust me, cricket would have not reached anywhere near. We would have still been a Zimbabwe or a Sri Lanka. Pakistan became great because India became great. So whatever we do, they do after us. So we won the World Cup, so unka life ka mission hoga World Cup. Pakistan ko Imran Khan ne World Cup jita diya, usko Prime Minister na diya. So that is the thing. That's so the whole point is it develops when somebody does well. So now you'll see Egypt will always qualify for the World Cup. Why? Mohamed Salah has shown the world, Egyptians, that it's possible for an Egyptian to get there. So we believe when you go to a stadium, Indians want to see world-class stuff. When they don't see world-class stuff, they will not go there. So maybe you will have enough people in IPL coming because it's world level. You'll even have enough people, hockey fans coming in and seeing hockey. But unless football is at a very high level, people do not come and watch it because right now they can just put their TV on and watch football 10 times that level. But now comes when you wear the blue shirt, when you bleed blue. That has got nothing to do with how your country plays. Simple as that. You don't want to go support your ISL I-League club? Fair enough. You have got better football on offer. Your country is playing and you call yourself a football fan, you better be there if it's in your city. Simple as that. Because if you think you want to see, if you wish that your country should get there and you're not there in that match, you don't deserve your country to get there. What will happen? If one day 100,000 people show up for watching India's match, the next day, what will happen? The government will sit up and take notice. Oh my God, it's a popular sport. And it is a popular sport, except that we football fans don't go out there and show it. Where it's supposed to be mattered, where it matters. Suppose you fucking fill up the stadium. Now what happened was, World Cup tha na? So it was a world stage. So India की बेइज्जती होनी थी. World Cup, और हमें पता था कि हम सारे मैच हारेंगे. Under 17 World Cup की बात कर रहा हूँ. India के सारे मैच full house थे भाई. And full house even in Delhi, in a city like Delhi, where Delhi Dynamos was desperate to get people. They had never more than 5,000 people ever. In that play, and Delhi Daredevils sold off their fucking IPL team because they couldn't get fans. We had 35,000 people that day in that stadium in Delhi because India was playing. Same way if that is shown in every match, the government realizes, कि हाँ भाई, कुछ ना कुछ है.
Yes, sir. You told about the World Cup. Even in our city, Kolkata, there was no Indian match. Even then was it also a full house. Even we went to see England in the final. We got to see the likes of Jadon Sancho and Phil Foden. So it was like a great moment for us. So
exactly. So अब मेरी बात सुनो. मैंने ना ये मेरे को coaches ने बताया कि if we can compete with these boys at the 15, 16, 17, why? What happens in these 3-4 years? So if you remember in the अभी Manchester United की under 15 team आई थी and Reliance Foundation's team beat them. हमने तो खेला नहीं था. अगर Reliance Foundation ने हराया तो हमें 6 मार रहे थे Manchester United को. मेरे से लिख के ले लो. And Bangalore even drew with them. So that, see, it's possible at that age. So what happens in 4 years? So it's not that we are very far off from them. We are not very far off from them. What we need is proper support for what? What happens is only 100 people in India or 200 Indian footballers get really world-class football support, ISL and I-League guys. We need that to become to 20,000. The moment it becomes 20,000 people getting that support, that means even the state leagues having that, every state having the league and getting that, we'll have a world-class team. We are not far off. 10 years, 12 years.
Yes, sir. But my next question is, there has been a lot of discussions and debate about whether the foreign players with PIO and OCI card should be approached for the national team or not. What is your take on this?
See, my take is very simple, that unless and until you are willing to give up your other passport, you should not be allowed to play. Why? Because see, if you're coming and taking a space of an India, you can't say, okay, I'll play for you in the World Cup, but once you stop dropping me, then I'll go and try my luck somewhere else. No, you can't do that. It's not a club. You play for your country. Either I play for India or I never play football again for any other country. Then that is there. So you can't have dual citizenship and say, okay, as long as I'm playing for you is okay. When you stop you playing, I'm getting out of here. No, then you better open up an academy here. Why? Because you've got famous because of India. Open up an academy, spend the rest of your life in India, develop football in India. You can't say that now I'm going back to the US. No, you can't do that. So I totally agree with that fact. It should only be one citizenship. See, if he's willing to give up his passport, second passport, no problem at all. That means he's willing to commit himself to India. If he's not even willing to give up his passport, that means the moment he's out from here, he's out of here. He's only here for that opportunity, which is wrong then to take it away from an Indian who's going to stay here for the rest of his life.
So, sir, in the world football, everyone is like against the ESL, as they want to see those domestic leagues like EPL, Bundesliga, La Liga, etc. So as a matter of fact, in India, the case is not the otherwise. Here, the maximum number of people are cheering for ISL, and the support dropped in the I-League. So what's your say?
The I-League support dropped only last year. Na? Before last year, till Mohan Bagan. See, meri baat suno. You tell me, from the Premier League, you take away Manchester United, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, take them away. What will be the broadcast? Shit. So, what made Mohan Bagan Mohan Bagan? Mohan Bagan was made because it played all the time in Indian leagues. Same with East Bengal and Bangalore FC, by the way. And the three best clubs in I-League were Bangalore FC, Mohan Bagan, East Bengal. You take them all away and put them in the second league and say they have no bloody broadcast. Very good. They have no bloody thing. Very good. Obviously. That's like England taking away the Kohinoor diamond from India and saying, oh, you don't have any diamonds. Bloody, we had the biggest diamond in the world. You took it away from us.
So you told about East Bengal. So East Bengal currently is a tough situation right now. Their future is very unclear, in doubt. So,
being honest with you, listen, I've heard of this thing before, and doesn't matter. These officials will one day, being honest with you, they'll die. मरेंगे ना किसी दिन? East Bengal मरेगा? नहीं, कभी नहीं मरेगा. ठीक है ना? तो अगर वेट ज़्यादा ही करना पड़ा ना, तो इतना ही वेट करना ना बस. Simple as that. See, because these officials can't keep on hanging on for the rest of life. If that's what they say, then all 200,000 East Bengal supporters will pray for their death. Because that's what they're doing. They're making them pray for their death, man. What else are they doing? They're just hanging on to power. Let me tell you, Indian football, jitna pahuncha bhi hai hamara, it would have got nowhere near if East Bengal and Mohan Bagan both were not there. As long as East Bengal is not there in the top league, it's not the top league of the country. So if somebody wins an ISL title without East Bengal being there, no big deal. Why do you think I left the I-League? Because if I win the I-League title today, I'm not going to be able to call myself champion of India. Champion of India is the only one who can beat East Bengal and Mohan Bagan both. So ISL was not no top league of the country till 2 years ago. And it's been top league of the country only for 1 year when East Bengal also played. From next year, if East Bengal is not there, again, it's not the top league of the country. You cannot be a top league of the country unless you have these two clubs. Unless it's promotion and relegation and then one of them goes down.
Sir, in India, we see a huge pay gap between cricketers and footballers. Like, if we see that cricketers owning a football club, but we can't even imagine a footballer owning a cricket franchise. So I know that cricket generates a greater revenue, so cricketers somehow deserve to get more. But don't you think there should be a parity?
Yeah, there should be a big parity, but here I have a club. I have a cricket club. I'm a footballer who owns a cricket club. In fact, my cricket club has all the players when we play. All of them are IPL players, starting from Shubman Gill to Manan Vora to Gurkirat Man to Mandeep Singh to Siddharth Kaul to Manpreet Goni. All these boys are our boys. But even I had all these boys, I still chose football. The future of our country is football. I guarantee it. Why? Go and ask an under 10 boy, what is your first love? 80% will say football, 20% will say cricket. Yes, 10 to 15, it becomes 50-50. Above 15, it becomes 80-20 the other way. But ask the under 10s. They'll not be seen dead in a Dhoni shirt. They'll have a Zlatan shirt on, rather. Again, why? Because Indians are getting worldly wise. We want to be with world champions in world games. That's why now the Olympics really matters to us. 10 साल पहले नहीं होता था, कुछ नहीं होता था. Now it matters that, we have to do well in Olympics, man.
Sir, I read an interview of you with Scroll, and you quoted that Indian football needs a federation that can be trusted and not one that is cutting down the ecosystem. A stakeholder must be able to get in touch with the president as soon as possible if there's a need. Here we have to wait for 4 months just to get a meeting. Why is it that AIFF is so negligent about the fact that owners are really trying to make an effort, especially in the I-League?
It's because they're in direct conflict of interest with everything which is going on. How can the top league of our country be owned by a private person? So if that guy who's responsible for giving the league away, which is Praful Patel, he's the president, how can I fucking trust him? He's given his own baby away to look after someone else's and grow someone else's baby. मतलब तुमने अपने बच्चे को मारने की कोशिश की है क्योंकि किसी और के बच्चे को पाल के बड़ा करो. क्यों? जितने पैसे वो कमाएगा उस लीग से, ISL से, अंबानी, वो कहाँ आएगा? Is he going to go into AIFF? No, he's going to go into Ambani's pocket. Whereas whatever I-League was going to ever earn when football was going to get big was going to go to AIFF. Like BCCI earns everything from IPL. Yes? So where does that money go? Back to the state. Each state association gets 25 crores in grants, man, 30 crores a year. इसीलिए हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट के पास सुपर सॉपर है, अपना 2-2 करोड़ की मशीन है पानी उठाने के लिए यार. Obviously, we're going to get 100 Tendulkars and 100 Virat Kohlis. We've got 3 bloody teams which are all world beaters right now. So that's because of the money coming in now. One day ISL will get big, yes, but all the money is going to go where? To stars, not even to the clubs. See, even if it went to the clubs, they'll have to open up their own academies and develop there. It's going to go to Star Sports or it's going to go to Mr. Ambani. Simple as that. Why? Because they own the top league of the country. It's like IPL being owned by a businessman. How can that happen? So it's what Mr. Ambani has done is bet on the future that football will get big in India, which is a no-brainer. It will get big. But all I wish now, see, this is all what's been done is done. It's not in my hands. But all I want is the pyramid to happen. Because if you have the pyramid, then small clubs will put money in and they will develop the game. If you don't have a pyramid system, that means the smallest club in a village should be able to dream that if I'm good enough, doesn't matter how much money I have, if I'm good enough, I will get there one day. Because sports has to be decided by merit. It cannot be decided by money. Otherwise, it's not sports, man. That's the whole premise of sports. That a small guy from a village can beat the richest bastard there is. Why is it a beautiful game? Because big clubs lose to small little clubs. Because at the end of the day, it's 11 versus 11 men. But if you kill that dream, that's a super league. That you only have the big guys playing against the big guys. Doesn't matter how bad the big guys are. We will select the Indian national team also from a private tournament. How can you do that? The National League is I-League. And you mean to say that the guy who scored 7 goals last time didn't deserve to be in the team? 8 goals, 9 goals. And you've got good centre backs who didn't deserve to be there. Who did? And who's losing out? The Indian national team is losing out because you've got great players playing not only here, you've got great players playing in 2nd Division I-League. Or when you probably see them in Durand Cup with Army, Navy, Air Force because they are able to compete with all the other teams. So why not? You got to, the whole point, see, the whole point is making sure the pyramid system happens. Unless that happens and there is progression, promotion and relegation, then there'll never be teams. Now, moment you have promotion, relegation, imagine it costs somebody 50,000 rupees to open a team. But his dream is that I'll make it worth 500 crores if I'm good enough in 10 years. But if I know that I'll never get there, no matter what I do in football, but I can get there if I pay 15 crores a year. So basically, I'll never get. I'll never put money. I'd rather put it in volleyball or in basketball or in kabaddi or in any place where the top league is decided by merit. Why will people invest in football when the top league is invested and is only decided by how much money you have in your pocket?
Said earlier that it is really tough to be alive considering the current scenario, the COVID scenario. So मेरे पापा को महीने पहले COVID हुआ था, तो it was really hard to find an oxygen cylinder, let alone a bed in a hospital. So somehow we got it, and he's okay now. But I saw a tweet of yours like in 14th of May, and you said that you will be turning the academy into the COVID rehabilitation ward. So what was your experience like dealing with all?
The experience was as bad as all my brothers and sisters out there in India, man. It showed you that, in fact, not only were you waiting for hospital, doesn't matter, basically, by the way, didn't matter who you were. It was not कि rich को oxygen मिल रहा था, या पुलिस वाला है उसको मिल रहा था, या जज का बेटा है जज को मिल रहा था, किसी को नहीं मिल रहा था ही नहीं साला. और क्या नहीं था, हवा नहीं थी यार. So you had to wait for hava, and then after you die, you had to wait to be cremated for 4 days. So means that you saw what can happen to us as a human race and how helpless we become. So same way you dealt with it, I saw that people are dying on the street and they are not this. So we were not running our academy because it was pandemic time, and we had an entire infrastructure here, which is just basically beds, man, beds and bathrooms, beds and bathrooms, beds and bathrooms for all the footballers, and a huge mess and classrooms, which can again be converted into beds. So I offered it because we were running out of hospital space in Chandigarh. So we were number 3 on the list. That means there were 2 other big hospitals who had opened up, and we were 3rd. So if it had, in the second wave, it had spilled on, they were going to take over the entire place. But thankfully, it started dying out before it overflowed so much that they took over the place. Because, yeah, we were there for them, but nobody wants it to be so bad that you have to convert sports hostels into COVID beds. But what our staff did was amazing. All of them in the COVID time, in just 8-9 months, we donated blood twice and plasma. Then we had organ donation forms. We became the not only the only club, probably the only sports institute in India, which has done over 500 registered organ donors we've had in the last 6 years. We've been able to get, and that's a huge number. That means we've been able to save at least 5,000 lives, because each person can save 10. That's a huge thing. Then on top of that, we were giving food to the homeless through Delhi FC, our sister concern. So Delhi was being taken care of. Then we have an animal shelter called Paws. We were taking care of animal feed all over the city of Chandigarh, Panchkula, Mohali. So it was not that, pandemic is a time to rest. That is a time to, in fact, show that you are worth being an Indian and you're worth being alive. Like all the clubs, Mohan Bagani's Bengal, all the fan clubs got together and said, okay, fine, let's get up. And they were not seeing whether Mohan Bagan is helping a East Bengal fan member. They never used to ask. So this is where, in fact, I saw that a lot of footballers especially came out and did their stuff. In fact, if I compare it to other sports, being honest with you, I saw footballers doing a huge lot more than other sports.
So, sir, we did some research and found out that you are good friends with Curtis Fleming. So, can you elaborate your relationship with him?
With
Curtis Fleming.
Oh, okay. So Curtis is somebody who I'm really close to, because when Punjab FC, when Minerva Punjab FC became Punjab FC, and then from Punjab FC became Roundglass Punjab FC, there was a 1-year transition period where he had to basically take over from me and learn from me about the under 13, 15, 18 boys we had, which were going to be transferred to them. And also who are the boys who are special, like Vikash, Harmipom, Suranjit, all these boys who were in the academy with them. And who are the boys who can make it in the senior team. So he was handling the second division team while I was handling the I-League team. And we were on contact on a daily basis. And at that time, I did some research on him, but I didn't know that he was the same Curtis Fleming who was also in Crystal Palace. I just saw that documentary a few days ago and I saw, oh my God, oh, that's Curtis Fleming in the documentary on Amazon, is The Eagles Dare, the documentary. So he, being a Premier League footballer, just helped me confirm the simple facts that we Indians are as good. The ideas and the philosophies and the training facility, the things he has, we were doing it at Minerva. So that made us feel really good that what is being followed at Premier League clubs, at least training wise, we are doing. And that way, that is why he, in the first year of I-League, he trusted the junior boys, which were from our academy, so much that he probably just made 3 or 4 signings. The entire team was our academy products. So that's also the way you earn. So when they paid me money, they also got a free team for next year's I-League. They didn't have to pay for. For example, the second goalkeeper, Devansh, and then starting from Harmipom, and then Vikash, and then Suranjit. And at least there were 13 academy boys who were earlier loaned to Arrows and all, who came back. So it's a great experience working with him. He's a great coach. I think I have ultimate respect for him. I think if he comes back to Indian football, I was very happy to hear that he's coming back to Chennai, but then I heard that that deal went off. So if he comes back to Indian football, it'll be great. Because on top of that, he has, because of the age, he's not that old yet. He's got great relationship with Premier League players. So he might just bring, some good boys from there.
Yes.
Sir, in 2018, Minerva Punjab became the first club from North India to win I-League since 1997. Then next year, they went to the FC Cup and went 5 games unbeaten. So what was the experience and the success story behind it, this huge achievement?
See, not only did we go unbeaten, we were unbeaten the 6th game also till the 92nd minute, man. So we were going to be the first game in the history to draw all six games, man. Why? Because in the end moment, our striker didn't turn up for the AFC Cup, and that's why we did really, really badly in the I-League and AFC. Otherwise, see, if we were keeping them till this, if we had one striker, we would have killed them. And we had Quero playing up as a striker, man, because that's how bad things were for us. So it was a great experience because my only thing was that making sure that India is not ashamed of us at an international stage. That yes, okay, fine, we're not going to be able to thrash people, but nobody can say that, oh no, we humiliated them and sent them back. Doesn't matter it's an ISL team, doesn't matter it's Bangladesh team in Bangladesh or Nepal champions, we're not going to lose. And we just made sure that we were a very tough team to beat. So that's where I in fact discovered Yan. So I took up Yan. Yan was really young then. Sachin was the coach, but I took up Yan there. So Yan spent the entire time under our wings in AFC. And I saw there that this guy has a great potential to be coach. And next year I made sure that he was with us again. And he's now still with us. So winning the I-League was again done because I trusted my academy players, not because I bought stars. The budget for that year when we won the I-League has still been the lowest budget. In fact, this year my budget for second division and I-League and probably in one of the cups is going to be more than what we did that year. And that was just because I trusted my academy players. And right now, because we don't have an under 18 academy, I'll still have to spend some money, half the academy. I have academy, but not the full-fledged one. So I know what it means. If you have your academy, it becomes so easy. If Mohan Bagan had an academy for 100 years, and if I was Mohan Bagan, I would win ACL, man. Why? Because my academy is 100 years old, and imagine the boys I'm producing every year. Abhi hum Minerva ne ek under 23 mein jo eligible the, wo lagaye the. So usi mein you can make such a world-class under 23 team. I was just watching the kind of people you had like Jackson and Anirudh Thapa, and then you had Narinder Gelot, Deepak Tangri, Vikash, Harmipom at the back, and then in the front you had Vikram Pratap and Veer. And, you could just keep on naming them. And it shows that what one place can do as long as you have hard work. It's just hard work, bro. There's no secret. People keep on asking the secret. It's no secret. Hard work. Work hard, you'll get there. Simple. Like now, see, it's people don't know that because of the podcast and you're going to be recording it, but it's 11:20 at night and I'm sitting here in my office doing the podcast with you. Why? Because I just love football, man. And I love talking about it.
During time in Minerva, Punjab, there was a recognized fan club called the Warriors. And they have been supporting the club since 2018. Have you met them personally?
Yes. Not only the Warriors, we've got now in Delhi FC, we've got the Ultras. And both the Ultras were actually Delhi Dynamos Ultras. The reason we went to Delhi was because of them, to give them a reason to have a club. And in fact, we've got some Ultras who are actually working with the club there. We've given them an opportunity because that's the whole point of making sure that they're so involved with the club that they feel it's their own club. So probably the first people to come to know about the signings are the ones who will get the most excited about it. Who? The fans. See, that's the way you run a club, because you should get, if you, that's why I'm so sad for East Bengal. They don't understand. They are there because of the fans. If there were no fans of East Bengal, there'll be no East Bengal. Because East Bengal is the most famous club. Why? Because they've got millions of fans. Not because of Neetu Sarkar. And they don't understand that. So the fans are the heart of the club. And I am here because of the Warriors. I am here because of the Ultras. I'm here because of those fans. And we are here because of those fans. And always for the rest of my life, if I ever have been in football, the fans will always be number one.
Yes, you mentioned about the East Bengal. The situation is so sad that like Neetu Sarkar is hiring goons to beat up the fans who went to protest. Like, the situation is very bad. So it
just shows how badly people want power. See, and let me just tell you, it's the same with Praful Patel. He's been there for 13 years and look, yes, he's got us the Under-17 World Cup and the Asian Cup and keeps on getting us competitions, but that he can do without being the president also. Or even if he wants to president, put somebody else so he can develop football. As our development, as our ranking, as a nation, we are still stuck and in fact getting worse. Where countries like Vietnam, oh my God, they are doing so well and it's this much. And it's a country who's, nowhere even near us and they are doing so well. They've taken their rankings up 30 places in the last 1 year. 30 places, man. Why? Because of academies. They've developed these world-class academies who are giving them these players. So the same way with Neetu Sarkar, he just wants power. Praful Patel wants power. He wants to be the head of everything. And just because of that power, they're willing to do all this. They're willing to let things get either screwed where Indian football is concerned, or here, they're willing to let fans get beaten up. Because they don't care. They don't care about why they are there. They are there to, they're the custodian. Neetu Sarkar doesn't own East Bengal. Okay? The fans own East Bengal. And they don't even say, they don't say own, they say Hamari maa hai. That's the kind of relationship they have. So nobody owns that club. He's a custodian because the fans put him there. Same way Praful Patel was put there. Yes, not by the fans. If we were the fans, nobody would have put Praful Patel there. Fans would have never put him there. But yeah, because of elections and end of the day, people making bodies all over India and then electing the guy. But unfortunately, they become dictators. And moment dictatorship comes in, this is what happens. They don't care about anyone else except themselves.
Sir, recently in an interview, you have mentioned that you have set a target for 2034 World Cup qualification from India, and you are undertaking a project about this. So, can you elaborate about this?
Yes, my brother. So, this is my project, which is the closest to my heart. In fact, all my efforts are going to go towards this. It's just that the pandemic has happened and I just can't stay without football. So, we are doing the seniors. Otherwise, for the last 2 years, I've been doing nothing as this. In fact, the whole point is, like I was telling you about, it's not that India is not the richest country. Brazil is not the richest country. They won World Cups. So it's not about being rich. Then we've done it in hockey, so we can do it in football. Our genes show us that we can hit the javelin 90 meters or get boxing or weightlifting or wrestling medals. So we are power and stamina ki to baat hi na karo. We are there, man. Who's better than us? Then enough population plays football. Yes, Iceland is 3 lakhs. 3 lakh हमारे दिवाली के मेले में होते हैं. That's my famous line. Exactly. So it's not about enough population also. What is it? It can only be this, that we're not doing things the way people who are getting there are doing it. So they have plans. They have long plans. Japan had a plan, 100-year vision and a 50-year plan. 50-year प्लान मतलब तुम उसके लिए प्लान कर रहे हो तुम्हारे ग्रैंड चिल्ड्रन के लिए, और वो ग्रैंड चिल्ड्रन अभी पैदा भी नहीं हुए, उनके लिए प्लानिंग कर रहे हो तुम। यहाँ पे प्लानिंग होती है 2 साल के बाद हमने वर्ल्ड कप खेलना अंडर 17, 3 साल के बाद वी विल क्वालिफाई फॉर द वर्ल्ड कप, 2 यू क्वालिफाई फॉर द वर्ल्ड कप, यू नॉट गोइंग टू गेट एनीवेयर नियर इट। फर्स्ट क्वालिफाई फॉर द एशियन कप, वो तो हो नहीं रहा तुम्हारे से। So get your priorities right, and that you can only do when you're doing better than the other Asian nations. So what is Iran doing and South Korea doing and Japan doing? These are the 3 countries which are getting into the World Cup every single time. Their entire first team is not playing in Iran or in South Korea or in Japan. They're playing abroad. That is why they're doing well. Afghanistan, mein total number of footballers, people who play football, are 1,000. I'm not kidding. 1,000. They're able to put up a team which can almost beat us. Why? Because their main entire team plays in 3rd, 4th division of Germany. Unless we get 15 Indians playing in the top European leagues, we will never get to the World Cup. That is why Belgium is world number 1, because their guys don't play in Belgium. They play in the top leagues in the world. Nobody plays in Belgium in the Belgium team. So how do we do that? So can we send the best player from ISL? No, we can't. Nobody will take us. So what do? We have to develop players from the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. At the age of 11, 12, 13, they should be giving trials and academies all over the world. By the age of 14, they should have been picked up by an academy. That player can be developed into that Premier League team. Then we have Indians who are developed outside from the age of 12, 13, 14, 15 and stay there. Like you say, PIO क्या है वो सारा कहीं और से पैदा हुआ है. PIO मतलब इंडियन ओरिजिन का है. क्या है? वहां पे पैदा होके खाना पीना रहना वहां की है. कब से की है? 11-12 साल की उम्र से. और मैं 3 साल की ट्रेनिंग देके इनको भेज रहा हूँ बाहर. So at least they'll be better than them and they'll be picked up by those clubs. So when we have 11 Indians playing, 12 Indians playing in the top Premier Leagues, not only will we win the Asian Cup, we'll get to the World Cup and get to the final also. So the aim is by 2034, it will not be done. It will be 2030. उस टाइम तक पता लग जाएगा कि नहीं करना. और 2030 में क्या है कि how many boys are there playing in the European leagues? We'll come to know whether we'll qualify. If we still don't have anyone, we're not going to qualify in 20. So the aim is what? Aim is इनको academies में डालना. And why doesn't anyone else do that in India? Because you can't make money. It's only a losing process. Because I spent so much of money on them. At the age of 12, 13, 14, if they get transferred, you get 0. Amateur पे कुछ नहीं मिलता. You get 0. So why do you do it? Again, unless Indian football gets better, the value of my club will stay the same. If India is in the top 10, the value of my club is in the top 10 of the world. And Indian football. So ISL needs to understand that. If they develop their players, the value of the Indian league goes up because Indian football will become top 10 Indian football ban gaya. We'll have billions of dollars coming in from revenue. Top 10 may we'll have crowds, we'll have do everything, and the value of their club will go up. Why? Because you have a top 10, so they can sell to European clubs then. But how do you get to the top 10? By investing money not on Roy Krishna. Investing the same money on your junior academy. Every year. You'll get there in 15 years. You'll develop Roy Krishnas every single year.
Yes, sir. So in India, like we don't give proper chances to the youngsters, but yet hope they can perform miraculously well in the big stages for the nations. So don't you think those certain big clubs has a certain responsibility to nurture those homegrown talents instead of buying foreign?
No, bro.
talents?
See, they are those big clubs unfortunately are owned by corporates. Corporates have they have aims. Aims are given to the team that you have to win the league or you're going to be fired, the coach. So if the coach is going to be fired and based on his performance, he doesn't give a damn about a 10-year, 15-year-old. Okay, that simple as that. But if AIFF makes it a rule, a rare rule banaya 21, under 21 is a developmental player. Under 21 is a developmental player. 21 is a senior player. Under 19 is a developmental player. So you need to have 2 starting boys of under 19 in every match. And when I say developmental player, he must have been developed by your own academy. If 20% of each team is forced to play with their own academy boys, just see how much money they will spend on their academy. And that's the only rule they need to change. So imagine in under 19 team, India ke paas kya hoega? Because if there are 2 in playing 11, there are 4 on the bench. That means there are 4 there, 8 under 19 boys in every team is being developed. 8 into 10 ISL की बात ही कर लो, 80 मेरे प्लेयर अंडर 19 के डेवलप हो रहे हैं विद गेम टाइम. That's how easy it is for them, and they still don't do it.
Yes, sir. This
Why?
is what
Because if you say your own developmental player, that means you're basically telling them that bhai, spend at least 2 crore rupees a year on your academies, which they were getting. In fact, in that Parth Jindal article where he said, I'm spending too much of money in Indian Express, he said that we get 2 crores a year from Reliance to spend on our youth teams. I don't know what they do. That means 2 crores a year is 20 crores a year on the 10 ISL teams. For the last 3 years, when they competed against Minerva, 4 years, we won 7 titles, they won 0. And they had spent 20 crores a year. I spent 50 lakhs a year. So if you give me that kind of money, you come to know where I will make sure that this is, I saw that give me, I'm saying, do it the way I'm doing it, you'll get results. It's not rocket science. Ab to Vietnam ne bhi kar diye. So people who are watching this, who will watch this, go and see what I'm talking about. Vietnam has developed one academy, which is now ranked in the top 3 academies of the world. Who else are there? One is Ajax, 4. Ajax, Barcelona, Aspire Academy in Qatar, and the 4th is a Vietnam Academy. And they've come up in the last 7, 8 years, 10 years. And that, because of that, the team has reached where it's reached.
Yes, sir. This is what England have also done, that they have made it mandatory for the teams that to have some certain numbers of homegrown players in their squad. So we can see that there are numerous world class players in the age of 19 and 20. So this is what European nations are doing.
Exactly. See, you have to do that. And if you make it homegrown, means you're basically your own, then that's why. See, Manu, even do they need to buy players? No. But they do buy players. Do they need to get their own academy players? They are so rich. They don't need to. But they still, for the last 60 years, Manu has never had a Premier League team without one of his own homegrown players being in the team list. Can you believe that? And Manu is not even known as, academy achhi hai unki. Is always Southampton or Arsenal or, all these clubs. So if Manu is doing that and they're able, so it's not that you will not be successful if you do that. Come on, Manu has done it. That means you are successful because you do that. Look at the success Manu's have.
I am saying that although United spent big amounts of money acquiring for players from outside club, but they have a pretty good academy and they produce and they spend pretty much on academy also. Like they have spent like 10 millions on Hannibal Mesbury. Like they have spent 21 million on Amad Diallo, who is playing on Prod Academy. So they are spending also academy besides playing for the main team.
Exactly. So the point is that if you have the seeds, look at Chelsea. Chelsea had a transfer ban, but they almost won the league. Why? Because their bloody academy products were so great. All those youngsters beat everybody last year. And they would have never got the chance if that transfer thing would have happened. So imagine, these academy boys are there everywhere in almost all the teams who have academies. They only get chances. So the platform is the most important thing. Whereas in India, you don't even have the platform for 10%. At least in Europe, in England, there's at least homegrown players ka rule. Yahan pe hai hi nahi. Unless that comes in again, why does that come in then? Even England knows to develop players, you need to have a homegrown rule. Otherwise, every Premier League club will just buy players from everybody. They don't want to do academies, but they need to have homegrown, so they will do that.
Okay, I think it's time to wrap up. Sir, it has been a delight conversing with you. We are really grateful that you took time for us in your busy schedule. And I hope that we have been a pleasant company to you as well.
I loved it, man. I loved it. It was I had a great time. And in fact, I always love talking to people who love Indian football so much.
We really look forward to working with you on a different project. I hope it can happen soon.
Brilliant, man. I'm always here for you guys. Always here. Jai.
Okay. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to 0290 on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. The link is in the description. If you have any questions that you want to ask Mr. Bajaj, let us know in the comment section. Thank you, sir, and to all the panelists who have joined with us today. This is 0290 signing off. Good night.